The Silence of the Lambs. Clarice Starling moved through the corridors of the FBI Academy, unaware her training was about to shift into something far colder. Jack Crawford chose her, not for convenience, but for something finer, something he saw that others missed. She carried not just ambition, but a history stitched into her silence, and they needed someone willing to step close to the kind of mind others fled. The Baltimore State Hospital for the Criminally Insane held many things behind its walls, but Hannibal Lecter was different. Not just dangerous, refined, calculating, hungry in ways few understood. Clarice's footsteps echoed on the hard floor as she approached his cell, her badge a thin shield against something far older than violence. Their conversation began not with questions, but with games, each word a card dealt between adversaries who already knew too much about each other. Lecter, with his measured voice and penetrating gaze, peeled her apart with alarming grace. He asked her not about cases, but about dreams, about the still nights of childhood, about the animals crying in barns she could never save. Each memory exposed was a thread pulled loose from a tapestry she barely kept together. Meanwhile, the case clawed forward. Another body found, marked not by clumsy rage, but by design. Girls were taken, stripped not only of life, but of pieces of themselves. It was not frenzy, it was creation. Each discovery narrowed the hunt. Each clue pointed to a mind crafting something deliberate, patient, and entirely self-contained. Crawford offered Lecter a deal, fabricated yet tempting. Lecter played along, but only to secure his own freedom in the chaos to come. In Memphis, behind masks and handcuffs, he unraveled the officers assigned to him with the same cool intent he used on Clarice. Their bodies would be found later, a grim reminder that Hannibal Lecter was never really caged. Starling, meanwhile, followed the quiet evidence. In the dusty bedroom of a missing girl, she found hidden photographs and hand-sewn garments, signs that Buffalo Bill's needs were more complex than simple destruction. He wasn't lashing out. He was crafting a second skin, one cut from the lives of others, stitched in the dark, away from judgment. Lecter's escape shattered any comfort law enforcement still clung to. In one bloody evening, he became myth again, slipping into the currents of a world too slow to hold him. No alarms would ever catch him now. No warrant would ever be enough. He had chosen freedom, and no one could guess what he might want next. Clarice, armed with little more than instinct and a fragmentary profile, found herself in Belvedere, at the door of a house worn down by rain and loneliness. The man who answered was courteous, smiling with too many teeth. Something inside her screamed, not with noise but with certainty. She stepped inside. The basement swallowed her whole. The walls were unfinished. The air was wrong, full of rot and forgotten things. Clarice moved with deliberate care, weapon raised, every muscle tuned to survival. She found Catherine alive, screaming from the bottom of a pit. And then Buffalo Bill, stalking the dark, a nightmare stitched into human skin. A final shot split the stillness. The man who had called himself James Gum fell, but the horror in that house would never truly vanish. Clarice pulled Catherine into the daylight, but a part of her remained below, trapped in that labyrinth of cruelty. At the ceremony, medals shone under fluorescent lights. Clarice smiled for photographs she didn't feel. Across the miles, a letter waited. Hannibal Lecter's hand was in every word. No threats, no promises, just an acknowledgement. They were still tied together. Somewhere he watched. Somewhere he waited. And as the sun dropped behind distant buildings, a figure walked through a sea of travelers, blending into crowds, unseen, inevitable. Dr. Hannibal Lecter had plans, but they remained his alone, for now.